Okay, guys, She Dared Chapter 2. I want to encourage you to try something today. Comment below this video one thing you think is going to happen in the rest of the story. So make a prediction. What's one thing that you think might happen in the rest of our story? All right? One thing. Okay. Chapter 2. The Black Turbaned Brigade. That's a tongue twister. After the Black Turbaned Brigade arrived, their leader started to make his voice and his views known. Right away, throughout Swat Valley, the militants used their guns to seize control of police stations and other government buildings, and they set up an illegal radio station. A lot of people in Pakistan couldn't read or write. Many didn't have TVs, but most had radios, and they could listen. So the Black Turbaned Brigade's leader spoke on the broadcast with energy in his voice. I am an Islamic reformer. I am an interpreter of the Quran. Now remember, he did not interpret the Quran the same peaceful way that Malala's family did. Remember, he was leading in an unfair, unjust, and scary way. So keep that in mind. He went by the name Falula, and his illegal radio show earned him the nickname the Radio Mullah. Every night from 8 to 10 and every morning from 7 to 9, his words filled the Swat Valley. Fazula proclaimed he wanted people to adopt good habits and abandon the bad ones. People huddled around their radios, curious, but also eager for change because many were unhappy with the current Pakistani government. Fazlullah banned men from shaving. Do as the Quran says, trim closely the mustache and grow the beard, he proclaimed. Then during his radio show, he congratulated people who listened. Mr. Tareen has kept his beard, he announced. Fazlullah apparently didn't care. Malala realized that this would put barbers out of work. He even insisted beauty parlors should close. But how did Fazlullah have this type of power? This man may have led the Black Turbaned Brigade, calling themselves the Pakistani Taliban, but he was not the Prime Minister of Pakistan, nor was he part of their government. So why was he trying to lead Pakistan? The Pakistan army sent 3,000 troops to the hills and forests of Swat to try to silence Fazlullah and the Taliban. This caused fighting and fear. So there's two sides that are fighting against each other, right? We learned a little bit about that before we left for spring break. At dinner one night, Malala's father shook his head, upset with everything going on. I will not grow a beard for the Taliban, he insisted. He took a bite of chicken. Malala poked her bread, called naan, that's the type of bread that she's eating, into a sauce but didn't eat it. Even though the fighting hadn't reached the city of Mingora, she was distracted and worried about all the threats and changes. Fazlullah called these changes edicts laws, and in his radio broadcast he would name those who didn't follow his orders. This made people gossip. Have you heard about so-and-so? Malala wondered if people talked about her father. She sighed and started eating her bread. Her family sat cross-legged around a cloth on the floor. Across from her, Malala's father talked about the other edicts in between bites, such as how the new laws declared that people should no longer listen to music, watch movies, or dance. The other night during the broadcast, Fazlullah had exclaimed, "These actions are sinful." He believed that sinful acts were the reason Pakistan had an earthquake 2 years earlier. Sinful actions will invite the wrath of God, he had cried. Malala remembered the shaking ground, the crumbling buildings, the landslides. It was scary and not something she wanted to relive. Is he right, Abba? Malala asked her father. Will there be another earthquake? No, Johnny, he replied, using his nickname for her. Johnny meant soulmate. Fazlullah is only fooling people. Malala's mom twisted her lips, then asked, "What is wrong with abandoning bad habits?" Malala thought how their neighbor, Mr. Kazi, had given up chewing tobacco. "I like Fazlullah's ideas," her mom added. Malala's mom was very holy. She prayed 5 times a day, though she didn't worship in the mosque. Only men were allowed in mosques. In general, men were treated differently from women from the moment they were born. Okay, so in Pakistan, women are not treated equally the same as men. So think about our title, She Dared, and the dream that she has to be a what? Do you remember? Dream to be a doctor, right? So think about where the story might be going, and that may help you make a prediction in the bottom. What do you think she's going to dare to do? What do you think? Baby boys were celebrated, baby girls were not. When a male was born, rifles were fired, dried fruit, sweets, and coins were tossed into the baby's cradle. When Malala was born, her father insisted that she be celebrated the same as a boy. He told his friends, "I know there is something different about this child." He also gave his daughter a special name. He named her after Malalai of Mawand. Malalai was a great heroine. That word is hard for me to say. During a big battle in 1880, she ran out onto the battlefield to tend to the wounded and give them water. Her men were losing and the battle's course worsened when the flag bearer was killed. Keeping a flag raised was important during battle. Malalai picked up the flag. She held it high. She marched forward and shouted for her army to continue to fight. The army rallied behind her and fought with renewed energy. Sadly, Malalai didn't survive the battle, but it was because of her courage and persistence that her army was victorious. Malala wondered what courageous things she would do in her own life. Being a doctor would mean she'd be able to help many people. Then one night, Fazlullah said something that stole Malala's breath. The tone of his voice was stern yet soft. Something about it. Oh my goodness, Stella. She's so naughty. Should I kick her out of the classroom? Stella, tell the kids sorry. Oh my goodness, she's a mess, guys. She's a mess. His voice was soft yet stern, almost as if he were trying to be persuasive. Women are meant to fulfill their responsibilities in the home. Only in emergencies should they go out. "How will we go to the market?" Malala's mom asked. Her father deeply sighed. "He wants men to shop for their wives." Malala scrunched her brows, as if her father would know what to purchase at the market. A man mainly worked, came home, ate, and slept. Her mom was the one who shopped, cooked, and cared for the family. "What more troubling," her father said, "is that he says girls should no longer go to school." Okay, so remember, where is Malala's happy place? It's at school, right? Learning, because she wants to be a doctor. And so now this corrupt, that means messed up, that means he's a corrupt leader. He's doing things that are not in the best interest of all people. So he's not the leader. You know, Pakistan is different than us. They don't vote their leaders in, okay? So this is a leader that's trying to take over the people, trying to do things that are unkind, trying to do things that are wrong for the people. So how do you think that that is making Malala feel that she wants to be a doctor? Her happy place is school. Her happy place is learning, becoming a better person. And now this corrupt leader, Fazlullah, is trying to take that away from her. So what do you think she's feeling? Probably pretty scared, right? They are scared of the pen, her father said. They think when a child reads a book like you do, learns English like you are, or studies science like you love, then the child will become westernized. Westernized, Malala groaned. What's so wrong with learning about other cultures? Nothing, Johnny. But they want only our religion to be taught in schools, nothing else, and only to boys. The radio, Mullah has begun congratulating the girls who have stopped going to class. Malala didn't want to be congratulated. She wanted to keep learning. In fact, she would. She wouldn't let this stop her from becoming a doctor. Her mom now said, I don't like this man anymore. How can he insist children who go to school go to hell? Malala's mom wasn't the only one who disliked Fazlullah's interpretation of the Quran. Others who were once open to Fazlullah's ideas now opposed him in secret. But Malala's father didn't want his thoughts to be secret. He wanted to be heard. At dusk, her father often climbed the steps to their roof. Sometimes Malala followed him up to the big flat space. A cricket bat lay discarded on the concrete. Malala had played earlier with her two younger brothers and their friends. The game was a lot like baseball. Her father gathered with his friends, drank tea, and talked. Politics was usually the topic. Now they also discussed what they heard on the radio, Mullah's broadcast over the last few weeks. Malala liked to listen to their discussions, but that night she also started to stared at the snow-capped mountains in the distance and daydreamed. Malala did not like the Taliban, their guns and threats, and their new ideas in her valley, her beautiful, beautiful valley. Malala believed she lived in the most picturesque place in the entire world, a heavenly kingdom of mountains, gushing waterfalls, and crystal clear lakes. She didn't want the Taliban to destroy their way of life. In less than a month, they had already caused too much unrest and fear. They already controlled many of the villages and towns outside of Mingora. When would the Pakistan army put an end to this? Thankfully, she overheard her father say, "More troops are coming." All right, guys, that was chapter 2 of She Dared, the story of Malala Yousafzai. What are you thinking so far? I want you to talk to somebody. I want you to write about it. I want you to think about it. This is not for a grade, you guys, but you do need to continue to read. You need to continue to think about your reading and continue to work hard, really digging into the story. So what do you think? Do you think that Malala is going to succeed in her dream of being a doctor? Do you think the Taliban is going to stop her? What do you think? I want you to talk to somebody or write it down. What do you think is going to happen? Also, how is her attitude starting to change? So the first chapter, she was in a really good mood. She was happy. She was excited to learn. And now she's seeing this Taliban army coming in and taking over. And they're starting to talk about girls maybe having to quit school. How do you think she's starting to feel? Okay, how do you think our main character Malala is starting to feel? How do you think her actions might change? How do you think her dreams might change or her attitude might change? Okay, stay tuned and we'll read chapter 3 tomorrow. Good job, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.